Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Hi, this is Zoe from Star Wars Geek Girl. I'm here with Lizzy as usual.
Hello.
And we do have a really special guest today, Dominic Pace.
How are you? Thank you for having me, and hello to all your listeners.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. So you play one of the bounty hunters in The Mandalorian, Gekko, but it's not spelled like the animal. That's 2 Ks, right?
That's 2 Ks, that's correct. And I've been a lifelong fan ever since I was 5 years old. The first word I learned to spell was Jawa on one of those magnetic alphabet boards. So this was obviously a very special moment for me, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for that opportunity.
Yeah, that just, being on a Star Wars set sounds amazing.
Yes.
Zoe loves Jawas.
I do. I grew up wearing a Jawa costume, so, not all the time, but...
I was just about to make a post on Facebook where this series has touched people in so many ways, and in so many positive ways of inspiration, people from all walks of life. And it's just such an honor in a way, you could think of so many things in life. Whether it's a political candidate or whether it's, an actor or what have you. But I can't think of too many things that bring the entire world, for the most part, together. Of course, there's criticism on certain storylines, but ultimately, even those who criticize, you cannot deny the fact that just the universe in and of itself is special for everyone in their own unique way. And what a beautiful joy it is to be living during a time of this amazing franchise created by George Lucas. He's just such a genius, and how grateful we are to be able to enjoy that. And almost an emotional evening tomorrow night, at least for me, that I'll be watching episode 9 as most millions and millions of people around the world over the next week or so, that it kind of, at least for the trilogy series, it kind of comes to an end there for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really excited for tomorrow. It's just, there's so much that we're getting. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh my God, next week is going to be stressful with this week. So, I have my finals and, I have a lot of work, but we're also getting Resistance episodes. We're also getting Mandalorian episodes and The Rise of Skywalker. So it's all great. It's all good. And I'm really excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a lot of fun. I'm flying to Dallas first thing in the morning, and I'm going to be surprising 2 screening audiences at one of their local cinemas. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing a signing over the weekend in Dallas at a really popular Star Wars store. Actually, I guess they have a really amazing collection. It's called Order 66. I'm going to be there all weekend. But we're going to start it off tomorrow. I'm flying in just in time for this screening at 7 p.m. So really excited for it and looking forward.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So here's one thing I have to ask, since you were on the set of The Mandalorian. Did you get to see the child puppet?
Oh, I've got a great story with that. So there's about about 150 people on set. And there was a bundle, and obviously Carl Weathers, who his character's name is Greek Karg, I believe, he was asking for the baby. Give us the baby. And all I could think about, because it was actually kept secret from us, was that this was going to be an amazing backstory to Rey, Finn, or Poe. So I thought when I had the Mandalorian at gunpoint, all I kept thinking, and where I was probably about 20 feet away from him, 15 feet away at one point, where he goes on this flatbed in episode 3 or chapter 3 of The Mandalorian, all I kept thinking about was how cool of a backstory this is going to be. That was my assumption. That was the thought process, that perhaps this is where Rey came from, So that's all I thought about. It wasn't only the stars, the major stars of the show, I think, were tipped off, and rightfully so. I think we've all seen how the internet has worked over the past 2 years, 3 years in a negative way, to where if you just heard any kind of connotation of Baby Yoda before you saw it, it would probably give a lot of the skeptical fans and kind of salty fans a little bit more fuel and ammo to kind of shoot down Disney Plus before it even started. You know, what people would start thinking was when I was a kid, they had something called Muppet Babies. You know, it was a cartoon, and people would say, "Oh God, Disney is just ruining this," as opposed to seeing it for the first time. So I think Favreau did an amazing job in terms of keeping it secret. Of course, I kept everything secret. You know, even the stuff that I knew during that time. You know, for that entire year. But obviously, what a special treat it was to get this amazing. Everybody's arguing over what you even call it, but just such an adorable addition to the Star Wars universe there.
What do you call him?
I say Baby Yoda. I'm just not that anal. You know, I mean, just you guys call it what it is. You know, I got that old guy mentality. I'm a guy from the '80s. So it's like, what? Steak, medium rare. That's it. That's what it is.
Yeah, in my family we call him Yoju, which is Yoda Jr.
Yes, it's so funny you say that because I did a podcast. It's a really well-known podcast called Steel Wars. It's
yes, we love Steel.
Yeah. We've had Steel on before.
Yes. So he called it Baby Yoju as well. So you're not in alone on that quote there. So yes.
Yeah, we love. I think I actually haven't heard any like negative comments about Baby Yoda. Whenever I show it to people that have never seen Star Wars, they're like, "Oh my God, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life."
I just can't get over some of the expressions I have never seen other than by a baby themselves, but just the way that Favreau, Filoni, and let's hear it for the VFX designers. A lot of times they don't get the credit. I have a friend of mine who's a VFX designer on there, and he does an amazing job. And I mean, just to be able to get those simple expressions that a child would do, especially my favorite ones were when he's on the ship, you know, and he's playing with the switches and he just gives that innocent little smile. You just want to hug him and hold him for the rest of your life. He's so adorable.
Yeah, I love his little noises too, like little babbles and coos that he does. They're so cute.
Yes. But yes, at the same time, oh my God, my heart was in my stomach on the third episode to where he was getting taken away and he had that little cry out. Oh my God, it was just, it got to my heart so much, you know?
My dad laughs because there's one episode, I think it's the second episode, where the Mandalorian's fighting, I think like Trandoshians, and then he like pushes Baby Yoda away and he makes this like very high-pitched squeak noise and he just starts laughing so hard. And I'm like, no.
Even more than when I was a kid where we had Gremlins, you know, with Baby Gizmo, I don't think anyone has ever wanted something to be real more than Baby Yoda.
He's just a thing that unites everyone, and he's beautiful and precious, and I hope he never leaves the show.
I just can't wait for the toys.
I have a dear friend of mine from Florida, and she said, guess what tattoo I'm getting? I said, I don't know. I said, one of Gekko, you know, and she said, no. I said, well, you know, and she said she's getting one of Baby Yoda, and that's really saying something to want to tattoo that on you for the rest of your life. I mean, it's definitely had such an amazing impact on everybody in such a positive way.
Yeah. He's beautiful. So since you were a Star Wars fan, how did it feel to be like, I guess, chosen? Like just to be play this character and be on the Star Wars set?
It was just everything that you can think of, and what I'm doing, you know, I think it's one of these Willy Wonka moments to where I ask myself some days, why me? And the only thing that I can do, and the pledge that I've already made in the initiative is what I call it is 100 acts of kindness over the next year. And that's in honor of this amazing prosthetic company called Legacy Effects. This gentleman, Brian Sipe, he worked with Drax, the character Drax, played by David Bautista for Guardians of the Galaxy, for all 4 or 5 movies that he had to do. And it was, oh my God, I think every movie, there was about 60 to 80 on average prosthetics because he can never reuse the same prosthetic every day. They would melt it off him out of a sauna and then rip it off. There was no way to use it again unless they were doing some B movie from the 1960s. But he was in charge of Drax. And this gentleman, it was a simple makeup test. I I'm a blue-collar actor. If you look at my IMDb, I've taken every role that you can imagine in the past 20 years. I have also had every odd job you can imagine. And part of this was, I love the way that it came about because it was a gesture of being humble for two reasons. Number one, taking every job you can. This happened to be just a simple makeup test. And number two, politeness and kindness. Brian did not tell me what he was prepping for that day. He did not tell me that it was no promise of having a job the next day or in a couple of weeks. All I did was just be kind and humble that entire day. I worked with prosthetics previously before on Will Smith's Bright on Netflix. I doubled Frankenstein and Van Helsing opposite Hugh Jackman and one of my dear friends, Will Kemp. So I had some prosthetic experience on my resume as well as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I worked on that a couple of times, but he did not tell me. And I think just because I was patient and kind, I got the role. And that means a lot to me because I've never been a fan of some of these Hollywood egos, these diva mentalities sometimes for both men and women to where, they act as if, they're more important than anyone else on the crew. So that meant a lot to me that I received this gift of a lifetime that any Star Wars fan would dream of because I was kind, I was humble, and also always grounded in taking any work I can in order to support my family. So it all just kind of came together, and now it's a time not only hopefully to get my kids through college with a big national and world tour of doing all the Comic-Cons and being hopefully a favorite side character for everybody amongst across the world and within the Star Wars community, but also paying it forward to my two amazing sons. They're 14 and 11, and doing the best I can to try to get them through college. My heart goes out to every young kid this day and age with the cost of tuition, and that's all I dream of. I don't need a big mansion or a big fancy car. I just want to be able to leave that behind as my legacy, to be able to get these kids at least on the right foot in such an expensive country we have now. And it is what it is. I'm not saying there's any way to avoid that, but also if I can do anything I can to give my sons now their dreams, that would mean the world to me, and especially to do it through the joy of Star Wars there.
That's awesome. Yeah, tuition is a lot right now.
I'm a freshman in college, so I'm right in it.
I'm a senior in high school, so...
Yeah, my heart goes out. My heart goes out to each and every one of you, and I of course, I battle back and forth with my wife in terms of, I'm like, trade schools, what about a trade school? But, of course, it's not my place, just like it wasn't my mother or my father's place, to tell anyone what their dream is going to be. So if my son wants to go to a great school and, unfortunately maybe he doesn't get the whole full ride, we'll do everything we have to do in order to make his dreams come true there.
That's nice. That's awesome. I think I kind of want to ask, like, what's your favorite, like, moral or, like, something that Star Wars teaches you?
Oh, that's a great question. If I can talk about a few, that would mean the world. I have, of course, we can go to Yoda in terms, I think you apply it to every career. It's not just as an actor. I grew up on Empire Strikes Back, and when I was 6 years old, you watch movies with your walls down, and we still cry today by films and shows, and we still keep our heart open. But when I was 6 years old, I remember just bawling in tears watching E.T., or just things that affect you in such an amazing way. And I think we have John Williams to thank in regards to the inspiration through music. But obviously we can talk about Yoda as far as believing in yourself. I also love, as far as a lover, whether it's to your spouse, your partner, to your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever, I love the connection and the message between Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. I know that obviously so many things have changed in society and everything else, but I felt that they had a very egalitarian and very balanced relationship of loving one another. And for me to watch that as a kid play out on screen, to see that passion. And I love that line where she, in Return of the Jedi, where she comes to rescue him, and he says, "Who are you?" And she says, "Someone who loves you very much." To me, those little tiny side stories also that I think that touch us within Star Wars. So for me, it would be the inspiration in terms of career of do or do not, there is no try. And then also the beauty of love, and romance. And I'd love to see more of it, more and more on screen. I hope, I don't know what's going to come of 9, but even between Kylo and Rey. I love the love between a man and a woman, or between you and your partner, whoever it is, but just that connection of human beings, to have that connection of needing one another, not wanting, not all the independence now. And I understand why we talk about that and why we, talk about the strength of being independent. But I love to watch the feeling and the need to need another human being, not just want them, but to need them in your life in order to love and to care for. And that could be whoever in your life that applies to.
Okay, you're just a very wholesome, amazing person.
I was thinking the same thing.
Thank you. I got scared for a second. I thought you were going to say, "How dare you?"
No. I feel the same way. That's awesome. Okay, I'm just not gonna cry again. Have you seen all of Star Wars, like Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars and such?
That's a great question. I am now getting slowly through Clone Wars, and I watched a little bit of Rebels, but actually now I want to watch. I want to try to get through the whole entire season. I was hesitant with Clones for a little bit because I just felt initially that it was going to be some. Obviously we know what happens. It rolls out into 3. So I just thought it was going to be sort of this repetitive energy of, the Emperor kind of being, foreboding and such. And then, of course, Obi-Wan being the master and the teacher, and Anakin acting up here and there. And I was just like, okay, I get that dynamic. Do I really need to sit through this? But a lot of people have told me as the seasons progress, it really gets enjoyable. So I'm doing my best right now. I'm sitting through and watching each one. We've also played a few of the video games. I watched the prologue. I read the prologue to Rogue One, which I really enjoyed, but I do want to get into the books, the Thrawn books. I just spoke with a gentleman. Somebody was like, hey, do you mind sending a message to this guy? He is basically going through every piece of Star Wars canon. It's taken him like a couple of years in order to do it. Would you mind sending him a message? And I said, yes, absolutely. But I love the universe so much that I actually would like to take on that task to a certain extent. It's just obviously difficult between, the work and travel and everything else. But now that I'm going to have a lot of hotel downtime, I may want to get into some of the books and some of the old canon there would be something interesting that I'd like to get into. But Clone Wars I am delving into now. And then I want to get the new Battlefront video game. And then also at the same time get into Rebels there a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think with Rebels you're going to find a lot of, at least one really great relationship. Super great. Hera and Kanan are amazing. But yeah, Clone Wars is really, really good. I promise it's really good. It's not just about, Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that goes on. And they show how, the Clone Wars affects other planets, like, far, far away and whatnot. And then with, the Separatists and such. So it's a really great show. And then the new season's going to be coming out, so you should probably be prepared for that, too.
Yes, I know. That's what I heard. Yeah, so I want to go ahead and try to catch up there. Absolutely. Well, that's very promising that you say that because, again, for me, it's like I like to see a story go somewhere, and a lot of times I did a show called Prison Break years ago, and I was in season 4, and what ended up happening was the season 4, more or less, even for the fans, and it tended to be a little bit more filler. A lot of times, sometimes season 1 and 2, with the exception of like Breaking Bad for me, or maybe a few exceptional shows, sometimes a lot of times once the seasons progress, sometimes it feels like filler, and I hate that because it's like, it's like, okay, where is this going other than just kind of still, kind of going through the same dynamic of each character. So I really enjoy when a storyline is going somewhere because that makes me a lot more intrigued,
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, it goes into even the clones and how they feel about the war and their kind of stories and stuff like that. So it's just great all around. So I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and especially after 9, I'm sure I'm going to be craving more Star Wars stuff because obviously now this is, to a certain extent, I know Disney's probably going to be heading a different direction, at least for probably a good 3-4 years there,
Yeah, and then we've got Mandalorian to watch, and I think we're set on Star Wars content for a while, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the Kenobi series. I mean, who doesn't love, Ewan McGregor. I hope that we can get a cameo of Gekko again. I always say, I've been telling some of the podcast, one of the greatest things would be to maybe be a part of a bounty hunter guild troop that goes out to try to kill Luke and gets my butt kicked by Obi-Wan. But who knows? For me, it's like winning the lottery, and obviously, who wouldn't want an extra $1 million? But you just have to be content with what you have. I know that even Brie Larson and Angelina Jolie are begging to get in the series, so it's like I just have to be grateful for just the opportunity that I had.
Mhm. Yeah, that's amazing. This seems aggressive, but I would kill to be in the Star Wars set.
No, yeah, it was definitely something, and I just appreciated every moment. There were 2 hours of makeup every morning for my character, and people asking me if I was getting antsy, and it was like, no. I mean, it was just like, living out your dream to be, your own unique character within the universe. So it didn't even affect me, even the 16 hours of work, where normally any other job at 16 hours, I'd be like, all right, get me the heck out of here. And there on the 16th hour, I'm like, okay, take off my makeup. Okay, I'm ready for tomorrow, So, yeah, it was definitely amazing. And like I said, I've been working with I'm sure you're all familiar with the 501st Legion as well as your listeners, but I've been doing a lot in terms of trying to give back and help others throughout my journey. And not only the opportunity to travel and to meet so many fans is great, and obviously to hopefully help my kids through college through my autograph, but also at the same time, I told my agents to fly me in as early as possible, and if I can leave as late as possible, because I'd like to do one act of goodwill in each town, whether it's visiting a children's hospital or making a fan's dream come true by just being a part, them meeting somebody from Star Wars. That would mean so much to me, to be able to touch people's lives in a positive way. So I can't tell you how excited I am for 2020 to be able to do that and to be able to reach out to so many of the fans there.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So how do you, I'm trying to think what's like a really, really good question.
I can talk to you about some of the experiences I had that were really priceless on set.
Oh, okay. So how do you feel? How did you feel getting close to Pedro Pascal? Because he's amazing.
Wait, say it again. With who?
With Pedro Pascal. How did it feel to be even close to him?
Oh, God. Well, I hate to let you down or to turn this on its ear, but there was a very famous Western movie star, and his name was John Wayne. And John Wayne has a grandson by the name of Brendan Wayne. So all 8 days that I was there, the stunts and the body armor work during episode 3 was completely done by Brendan Wayne. And he is a half stuntman, half actor, but he was the one that we should also be praising as well for the character, because he was doing all of the work. I had the fortune of being next to Carl Weathers for 8 days, and the man is, I believe, 70 years old, and his work ethic, his presence, his talent was second to none. But the credit in terms of The Mandalorian, there needs to be a lot of attention given to Brendan Wayne, who was just an amazing artist, and that was who I was working alongside, along with the other actors for the time. Pedro was lending his voice. I believe that Bryce Dallas Howard also said that he was not there, Pascal. I think it was more of a voiceover, more or less. I'm not sure about the rest of the series, in that he was working on another movie. But at the same time, a lot of credit given to Brendan Wayne, who really essentially did a lot of work as the Mandalorian.
Well, that's still just as awesome. You were still close to the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it was a really cool feeling, because one of my favorite figures as a kid was Boba Fett. And when I'm staring him down at gunpoint there in episode 3, it really was something very surreal, because, again, I mean, it's like being, within your own, as many times that we didn't have YouTube when, in the 80s, and we didn't have all the different distractions of, we had 13 channels, then we ended up getting 60 channels with cable, but more or less we were playing outside or playing with our figures. So it was really surreal to literally not only hold my blaster, because I remember posing so many of my action figures by trying to place their blaster correctly into their hand, and feeling that, and then also remembering how much I loved Boba Fett, and I had the Slave One spaceship. So to be able to be doing that, to have that opportunity to have done that in real life, to have played that out with one of my idols, as one of my favorite characters within the Star Wars universe, and stare him down, it was really quite something.
That's awesome. So when you were little, Did you ever think of yourself as a Star Wars character?
You know, I never in a million years would think that I would ever get a chance to be on set. I mean, obviously Han Solo was one of my favorites. I idolized him. I didn't want to professionally pursue acting until I was 17 or 18 years old. But as far as just the fantasy and the dream of putting myself in different movies, sure, absolutely, you know. But as far as literally thinking it was going to happen, and then even when Episode 1 was announced, when they were shooting in Australia and England and Italy, I just completely gave up, sadly enough. I'd never thought that I would be within the universe. So it really was just kind of quite a surprise at 43 years old to have been able to be given that childhood dream. And like I said, I can't be more grateful. And now it's going to be the fun part, to where I'm going to be able to have that, you know, be able to hopefully inspire and be able to touch people's lives in a positive way, the way that this franchise has done for me my entire life.
Oh. Okay, that's awesome. So I kind of want to talk about Rise of Skywalker, since it's tomorrow, or at least it's going to be tomorrow, December 19th, Thursday. Yeah. So how excited are you for that?
I'm very excited. I think we're all nervous. You know, I think we all, whether we like it or not, have a certain storyline we'd like to see. I think we all have certain characters that we enjoy. I think we have certain messages that we want to see. So I think everybody, before seeing it, has that level of anticipation. I will say, visually, I think those jet Sith troopers look absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see them in action. I've just loved Daisy Ridley since the start, so I can't wait to watch her arc. I've loved Adam Driver. I think he has done an absolutely amazing job. But again, what my hope is I want to just see the story go back to what made Star Wars special, and that has to do with family and connection and believing in yourself, and the battle between goodness and the darkness, which we all battle in one way or another. It doesn't mean that, you know, it's something that is so extreme, you know, like, you know, violence or anything of that matter, but just we all deal with, you know, doing the right thing in life, or sometimes being tempted, you know, for things that, you know, will lead us down a darker path. So I'm just hoping that it comes to a full head and gives just that perfect, beautiful message of believing in yourself, the joy of being good and the joy of doing good in life, and obviously finishing off in such a masterpiece, also musically, with the magic of John Williams, who has meant so much to me throughout my whole life, not only with the Star Wars universe, but his entire resume is just beyond words on how this man has literally put music in color, that we can literally see music due to this man's talent, which is beyond anyone else's. It's like Tom Brady of football, to where their talent is just so immense and beyond anyone else. That in and of itself for me is very special. So I'm really excited. And also the fact that I'm going to be seeing with a foreign audience. I mean, just people from Dallas that I've never met before. Again, it's that beautiful message of people coming together from all different walks of life to enjoy the art of entertainment, which was the reason I got into this business, was to entertain people and to make them escape and make them happy.
Yeah. So who, I guess since you said you liked Daisy Ridley, is Rey your favorite character?
Yeah. You know, in the new trilogy, I would say yes. Yes, I would. I think she's firm and stable. I like the fact that she contains her beauty, but also at the same time has a level of strength that she doesn't overcompensate. And she's so real. She's such a natural actor. You know, she is really so genuinely talented in that there's no air of arrogance or no air of, you know, I understand we're going through a new movement now. But the other thing is, if I were to be sort of an angry, you know, man who's strong and wants to be, you know, respected, there's a certain level to where I lose the audience if I just am constantly not showing any level of vulnerability or any level of sort of, I don't know what the word would be, but just sort of tranquility in certain ways. And I think that Ridley has had this amazing talent to where she's been able to paint with many colors of the acting scope there. And it makes me appreciate her and want to find out more about her in terms of her character. So I think she's just done an amazing job in sort of carrying this film, this series, this trilogy.
Yeah, she really, really has. So what got you into acting?
It was the adrenaline rush. The adrenaline rush was absolutely amazing. It was a kind of cliche. I was a handsome Italian-American kid. I was 16 years old, and I starred in my high school musical, Grease. And I had 1,000 of the parents and teachers and students that watched me on Saturday night in 1992. I was singing and shouting and doing all the fun Grease songs. We put together a really elaborate musical. My mother used to play musical records all the time, West Side Story and Hello Dolly, My Fair Lady, while we would do chores around the house. So Grease was one of them. And I never really felt inclined to audition for some of the more stiff musicals before that. So I was a junior in high school. And when I felt that applause, when I felt the energy of singing and dancing and kind of emoting on stage, that was when I got my first taste of what it feels like when you get something right in terms of performance. I went to college for 1 year upstate New York in Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York, but the New York City kept calling me. I didn't really care necessarily about getting a degree in communications. I just kept thinking about these auditions and the challenge that acting has. I didn't expect this business to be easy. It never has been easy, but there was something very compelling, whatever career that you choose, in sort of some of the mountains that you need to climb or to overcome. There's something enjoyable about that. I think maybe a CrossFit athlete might be able to relate in terms of it's not easy, but at the same time you enjoy that challenge of trying to become better and stronger, and you feel more alive within whatever it is that you're pursuing. So when I was 18 years old, I dropped out of college and just had this tremendous passion. I guess I would equate it to maybe what a real estate agent has in terms of trying to get that next kill, that next sale. But for me, it was that audition, to try to get that next audition. And whether I got the part or not, instead of feeling rejection, instead of feeling the negativity of the business, which it brings a tremendous amount throughout your career, I felt actually empowered by it, that I wanted to try better the next time, every time I went out for an audition. So we're looking 25 years later into the future, and I'm still here and still hustling, and I've had some amazing victories. We've had some defeats, but at the same time, I've been able to eke out, a nice little career as a character actor on a lot of major television shows in Hollywood, and it's been an absolute dream come true. But for a year now, I just want to take a little time off and just stop and smell the roses and appreciate being a featured side character. The irony of it is it's not necessarily an acting accolade, this Gekko character, but at the same time, because it's in the Star Wars universe, it's very special to me as a fan, and also to be able to be a part of something that touches so many lives, and to be able to be a good person and be able to inspire others to this tour of these conventions as well as charity organizations. We're going to be taking a little bit of a detour next year, and I'm very much looking forward to it because I've always loved to travel. I love people, and I love Star Wars. It's going to be really genuinely, now this is where the fun begins, and it's going to be genuinely a dream come true.
So I know you were saying you're going to do like cons and stuff. So how involved have you been at like conventions and stuff before this?
I did this very cheesy movie, and I'm embarrassed to say, but I starred in a movie called Megalodon last year. I starred opposite Michael Madsen. There is a company that everyone is familiar with. They're called Asylum. Asylum did Sharknado, which is like they're so bad they're good. And I did one of those. I did a movie called Megalodon, but they were big in the Comic-Con. So I've been to San Diego Comic-Con twice, once for Superstore and then once for Megalodon, this corny, cheesy B-movie. I kind of recommend it and I don't recommend it just because it's so low budget. But hey, I always say I gave my all. I don't know what the heck everybody else was doing, but I gave my all. So I've been to a couple. But now we have a packed schedule for early 2020. We'll be everywhere from Stockton, California, to Pensacola, Florida, to Liverpool, where the Beatles are from, in England, to Brussels in Belgium, and it really should be very special. Cincinnati, Minneapolis, Raleigh, Greensboro, they have lined up for me. So a lot of fun places, and it's just going to be great to be able to interact with fans and party with them, maybe have a shot or two, and at the same time, perhaps, hopefully, do some good deeds throughout all this 501st Legion. They do so much good all throughout the world. So I'm really looking forward. They just made me an honorary member 3 nights ago. So I'm very much looking forward to being involved, donating some of my merchandise to their causes where they can have silent auctions where that money will go towards good causes for people in need.
Yeah, that's awesome. I forgot what I was gonna say. I hope I hope if you come out, I'm in Pennsylvania, so if you come out over here, I hope I'll get to see you in person.
I would love to. A little bit of trivia. It's on my grandfather's side, as she married into the family, but kind of a third cousin was the late Brittany Murphy, and she was from the Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia area. So she was like my third cousin removed on that side. But we have family in Pennsylvania, still from my grandfather, my maternal grandfather's side. And I've been telling some of the agents, please get me to the Northeast, just because I'm from New York, and it's always great to meet to see my family and get a little bit of work done at the same time.
Yeah. So like you said 501st, and you're an honorary member. Would you
Yes.
would you ever have interest in like if you were going to join as like a member, like making a costume? Besides Gekko, what costume do you think you would want to do?
Everybody keeps coming to me and they say, oh man, you would make a great Vader. You make a great Vader. But ideally, I mean, really what I want to do is hopefully just represent Gekko. I understand that over the next couple weeks, they are making Gekko an official character within their dictionary, which is going to mean so much to me. That's going to be one of the greatest honors ever. But I hear these great stories of Mark Hamill getting dressed up as Luke Skywalker, or Ron Perlman getting dressed up as Hellboy. But if there was like a makeup team, because it takes a tremendous amount of work to put together Gekko, that would be able to dress me and maybe surprise a kid at a children's hospital, maybe even one who has a breathing mask, so maybe he doesn't feel so alone if he sees, a bounty hunter with a breathing mask as well. I think that would be really special for me to be able to dress up as Gekko. Unfortunately, it would be a fifth grade project if I ever put Gekko together myself. So I would need some serious makeup school artists to help me out, but I would definitely love to surprise a child or to surprise a fan in the outfit one day, because it's very, very imposing when you see it in person. I'm 6'4", I'm 260 pounds, so it's really quite a presence, especially seeing the horns in real life. So hopefully within the year, I wouldn't mind doing a 2-hour makeup session if somebody knew how to do it and they have all the costume pieces as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would be a lot of work, but I'm sure it'd be fun to do anyway. Like with Zoe and I do Sabine from Star Wars Rebels, and it's just a bunch of armor. So it's not as bad, but it's still just so much fun to see kids around at different events, because they get so excited and they hug you, and they're so small and so cute and happy.
Yeah, it really just means so much. I had a kid, I sent them, there were a few where they didn't win a contest. I sent them autographs, and they had this contest, and one dad, I think he quoted on Twitter, he's like, oh man, I just missed it. My son would have loved it. And I direct messaged him and I said, please send me your address. And he sent me a picture back with the kid holding my characters, my autograph and such. And it really just warms my heart. And it really is so special because, again, Star Wars has meant so much to me, especially at that age. And I can't tell you how joyful I will be to be kind of my own little Star Wars Santa. I called it Star Wars Santa Claus next year to make kids happy, and then anyone in need happy, to cheer them up. My agent wanted me to get on this one app called Cameo, where they charge you, for me to say a few things. And I'm on there. But also one of the things I offered, especially during this time of holidays where people, it's not always the happiest time for people. Sometimes, we're missing somebody who we loved. Maybe it was somebody who passed away, or we got, into a breakup. And I left a message on my Facebook. I said, if anyone needs, a video message for, 30 seconds or a minute where they might be cheered up from somebody from Star Wars, I said, please don't hesitate, just because that would make my Christmas, to be able to make other people happy.
That would be amazing. I definitely need one to get through this week.
Well, you got it. You get me on Facebook and you let me know what you want me to say, and it's a deal.
Thank you.
I've been showing my collection. I got a glass case, and I got from IKEA. I got this great glass case. So I've been showing all the Star Wars fans my collection, just to show you what's been special to me. I kind of swap out, some of the stuff, but really kind of have it pretty nailed down over the past month or so. So yeah, I always love showing people what I like to collect and such.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a question for everyone. What are you most excited for the Rise of Skywalker? Like,
Ooh.
yeah.
Oh wow, that's a good question. Honestly, I mean, as far as storyline, I really would like to know who Rey's parents are. I mean, I think that's what we've been leading at the past 4 or 5 years, right, or 6 years. I mean, really, where is that going, and where did that come from? And kind of to see the Kylo Rey thing come full circle. Look, Star Wars inspires people in all different ways, and certain things touch people, and certain people don't, and certain things don't. And it's sad to see how toxic it's become online, and it's even as gender and race has gotten involved. But the one thing, let's take a step back. There's nothing wrong with maybe saying, okay, I didn't really like this storyline, but I like this storyline. But never any offense to Star Wars in itself, and never any offense to any of the actors. But I do really like where Kylo and Rey were going through Episode 8. That to me stood out the most. That's what I appreciate the most. So I really want to see that kind of play out in a way. And like I said, that connection that hopefully might even lead to this dark, sort of troubled romance where they're both troubled and they have sort of a past. Because the other thing, too, which makes Star Wars so beautiful are the parallels to life. I didn't grow up with a father, so what meant so much to me was the connection between father and son. What means so much maybe perhaps to brothers, where maybe one is going down a dark path. It could be even something like alcoholism or drug abuse. That connection between Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen was extremely powerful in the third episode. And this can maybe perhaps be another message to where maybe you got involved in with a boyfriend or a girlfriend who, it was going down a path that maybe, they was kind of toxic, but at the same time, you care about them. So it's really those parallels, I think, that we don't realize that make Star Wars so special. And I say that because I don't even enjoy, for the most part, I'm not even a big sci-fi fan. If you were to just take sci-fi in and of itself, it's actually not that enjoyable. It's just like, I mean, it's good eye candy, but without the relationships and the parallels that we can relate to with life, to me, it doesn't mean much. So ideally, to answer in a very long-form way, I say the Kylo and the Rey connection, more or less, in terms of not only what their past is, but also the connection between each other. I think there's something very special there, and I hope that it comes to a really good closure.
Yeah. I'm definitely kind of excited for that, too, but I'm not a big Rey and Kylo fan. So... Like, I'm actually just kind of like, I just don't know how the relationship is gonna go. So I do want to see how it ends up. I'm excited. What am I excited for? I think I'm just excited for Rose Tico. I want to see where she's at right now, and Finn's relationship with Poe and Rose.
Perfect. Absolutely. and God bless her. I mean, I've been in I've been in this business for 25 years, and that movie I told you, Megalodon, I didn't take it personal because, again, when you try to do a $100 million film with $50,000, it automatically is going to be dead out of the gate, at least on Rotten Tomatoes and on IMDb. For me personally, I will say that as an actor, you have to be able to take, criticism, whether it's warranted or not. It's very unfair. I have taken every job I can in this business, and a lot of times, sometimes, even like Gekko, there's been, only so much screen time. And sometimes you might even get criticism for that. Sometimes you get criticism for, I'm 6'4", I'm 260 pounds. I auditioned for Jason Momoa's role in Game of Thrones, and I didn't end up getting it because I don't work out as much, and there's certain times where they attack me, even physically, and it hurts, and it's painful. But the amount of criticism that this poor woman has received over the last 2 years, I hope that there's a beautiful arc to this character in so many ways, because she deserves that not only as a human being, but also for her character as well, to where hopefully that is going to end off in a very empowered and strong way, not only for the Star Wars universe, but also for Rose and for Kelly Tran herself. It's tough as an athlete and also as an actor. It is probably one of the most difficult trades because, again, you're always going to be scrutinized by the public eye. But she received such a level of venom that was well beyond whether you like a storyline or you don't like a storyline. And I'm rooting for her, too. And I really hope that it all is the best outcome and that shows her in the best light, full of strength and happiness, and also amazing closure for her.
Yeah, me too, because she really, really deserves it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What do you think, Zoe? What are you excited about for Last Jedi? Or Last Jedi, my
Uh,
bad. Rise of Skywalker.
I'm most excited for, I think, Finn. I love Finn's arc in both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And I hope it seems in this movie. Actually, no, not just Finn. I think Finn, Rey, and Poe, they're like our main trio of this trilogy. And this movie looks like they're finally going to get to spend a lot of time together, which they haven't gotten to do yet. So I think I'm most excited to see their dynamic and how they connect and just go on an adventure. You know, A New Hope is my favorite Star Wars movie because I love just like you have these group of people just going on an adventure pretty much, and I'm excited to see that with Rey, Finn, and Poe and how they play off each other because all three, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac, they're all incredible actors, and I can't wait to see how, when put all together, their chemistry goes.
Yeah.
Well
All
said,
the
well said.
characters are just. I'm excited for all the characters, for all the stories, for every little thing that's going to happen, I hope.
Yes, yes. I love, you know what I love are these, and I unfortunately got to watch my weight now, which kind of stinks, but I love the souvenir cups and the popcorn buckets and all that. And I love that. I think they have like a Sith Trooper or Sippy Coke thing. And I know it's crazy because I'm like 44 years old, and it's just like, but I love those little souvenir things. My kids and I, we still have from episode 8. We've got the BB-8 Sippy cup, which we were able to use as a piggy bank, and I just think that's always fun to be able to have kind of those souvenir things. They unfortunately in LA they don't allow us to dress up, or well, they dress up but no lightsabers, just because they don't want to. You know, people unfortunately have complained with the distraction of the color and things like that. But I always love when people dress up too, and when you're with a crowd that is really passionate.
Yeah, definitely. Like sometimes when when the movies when the movies come out, we have the like 501st or Mandalorians, and we all come together in one movie theater. Lately we haven't, and it seems so quiet because my mom likes the movie theaters that are a little bit more expensive, not really expensive, but like you can move your seat back, and she likes being able to watch Star Wars like laying down like that and comfortable.
Yes, yes. No, it's an amazing experience for so many people, and already I hear people have seen it or where it opened in their theater already, which I don't understand how. It must be just early screening somewhere, but they're going and jumping in to see it a second time.
Yeah, my parents actually went to see it yesterday, and my dad won't even tell me if he liked it or not. Actually, he said he liked it, but my family and I are kind of like the people that like all the Star Wars movies, because I know there are a lot of people that are like, well, I liked all the originals, but not The Last Jedi, or stuff like that. But yeah, they said they really enjoyed it, so I'm excited. I definitely think I'm gonna like it.
Absolutely. And it's one of these things now because now people are fighting over, how dare you, this or that. The one great thing about this movie is that nobody is going to change your opinion one way or the other. It's funny, like critics, it's like, I almost laugh with movies like this because it's like, you do realize that it doesn't matter what I think about it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like everyone is so married within our own love of the universe that we are either, going to have our own likes and dislikes, but it's so funny to see some of these reviews come out because, like, you realize that it's not going to change my own personal opinion one way or the other,
Yeah.
So I think that's great, in that Star Wars is that powerful that a review of any kind is not going to change how you feel about it, and that's how it should be. It's nobody's place to tell you whether you should like or dislike a movie. There was a horror film last year that I don't know if it got great reviews or bad reviews, but I was so blown away. It was very weird and eerie. It was called Midsummer, and the performances were absolutely amazing. It went on for about 2.5 hours. It's a very disturbing, slow burn. But within the horror genre, I thought it was absolutely amazing. This lead actress, I know she's going to be coming up in Little Women as well. I forget her name, but she is so incredibly talented. But I was just completely compelled with her performance in and of itself. But, I was online today and people were like, oh, well, they said Midsummer was great. So, that review is awful too. And it's like, nobody has any place to tell you how you should feel. And again, that should be how it is in life, and that you are going to go the beat of your own drum. And that's the beauty of Star Wars there.
Yeah. There, I really like the Star Wars community because there's, like, if you go in the right place, there's a bunch of, like, positive people that will, like, create these amazing relationships with you. Like, me and Zoe have been friends for almost, like, 5-ish years now.
Yeah.
Podcasting. And because we both love Star Wars. So it makes these amazing relationships, and while there are, like, bad eggs out there, like, you just ignore them, and they tend to go away.
Absolutely. And, like I said, everybody has the right to their own opinion, but there is no reason that anyone should ever hurt your own depiction. I had this really amazing experience with my wife. We were at the movie theater about 6 months ago. And I didn't get a chance, like, certain movies appeal to you, they won't appeal to you, and that's just your choice. I wasn't crazy about wanting to go see Dark Phoenix. I didn't end up seeing it. But there was a woman behind the concessions, she was in her 20s. And she asked me, she said, hey, have you seen Dark Phoenix yet? And I said, no, I haven't. I said, what did you think? And her eyes just lit up of just the fact of how inspired she was and how much it meant to her. This movie that a lot of people, I mean, the criticism or the critics, they said, oh, well, it wasn't really a great Marvel movie or what have you. But I just thought it was such a beautiful message that night of just on how cinema inspires people in all different ways. And it's never anyone's place to ever put anyone down in terms of what you like and what you dislike. And always, I feel like that's a bit of like a mantra that you should always keep with you. And I thought it was just so beautiful to watch this young woman be so inspired and watch her eyes light up to where she was telling me about the lead characters and about the storyline and everything else. And, my wife and I, we were talking about it later on as we were in the theater, of just how important that is in terms of always respecting everyone else's dreams. And that to me is why Star Wars means so much, because there's so many different messages for people from all walks of life. It's for everyone. I may relate to Han Solo. I love that he's an alpha. I love that he takes control and that he's got a little bit of a temper, etc. But then again, you might have something where Rose is inspirational to somebody else, and Rey might be inspirational to a young girl. So that's what, to me, is what is so beautiful about the universe, and that I feel like Disney has flushed it out to where now there's someone inspirational for everyone within the universe there.
Yeah, so, to me, the person I relate to the most, I think, might be Jyn Erso, and, like, Princess Leia and things like that, because they have, like, this father figure in their life that technically isn't their biological father, but they're the ones that raised them, and they're the ones that took care of them when the other father wouldn't. So who do you think you can relate to in the Star Wars universe?
Oh, wow. That is an amazing question. I really, I mean, I don't mean to be generic and sort of cliche, but I mean, it really kind of goes back to Luke in terms of, and I think everybody can to a certain extent, that binary sunset from episode 4. This to me epitomizes everyone's dreams of just starting out I think everyone poetically can look at that moment where he's looking at the two sunsets and looking out at his future and hope and becoming something more than just a farm boy in a small town. To me, that is really who I'm able to relate to. And of course, the broken family. So it would have to be Luke, even though, again, he is sort of the center point in many ways of the entire universe, of these stories in many ways, at least from, growing up in the 80s and such. So for me, it really was that, because that to me represents starting out in life and everyone having that one hope, that one dream of looking at those sunsets, in that you want to be more and that you're ready for a lifetime full of adventures and challenges and things that are going to be difficult in life, but you're going to overcome them in every way. And again, John Williams, what a beautiful, I mean, the fact that he has not used one lyric for the most part, with the exception of maybe Duel of the Fates, to where he genuinely has created those words through music. And it would have to be Luke's character.
Yeah, that's amazing. What about you, Zoe? Who do you relate to the most?
That's there's a lot. I feel like it depends on my mood, you know?
What about right now?
Like right now? Well, so there's a Sabine poster staring at me, so I think her.
Sabine?
Oh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
sure.
Sabine is part of the Star Wars Rebels, and she's also a Mandalorian now. And she's like this amazing artistic, explosive artist, and she's just amazing and fun and very cool, amazing person. Mandalorian. Oh, but also, Star Wars Rebels, I think towards like the 3rd and 4th season goes into the Mandalorians a lot.
Even in the 2nd season a little bit.
Yeah. So, it's kind of cool to see more of the Mandalorian because, Dave Filoni worked on Star Wars Rebels and now he's working on the Mandalorian. So it's just awesome to see all the Mandalorians.
Definitely watch Clone Wars for Mandalorian stuff, too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot in there in the later seasons.
Yes. No, I mean, it really has inspired so many. What a special weekend we all have ahead of us, you know?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be watching it. Well, I'll be watching it tomorrow for sure. But Zoe.
Yes.
I'm just going to tell you now. Okay, so Zoe and I live in opposite sides of the country. Zoe is in Pennsylvania and I'm here in California. So, Zoe, I'm going to be coming over winter break for a day or two. Just so you know. And we're going to watch Rise of Skywalker together.
Okay.
How's that feel?
Awesome. I might have work.
Well, take off work.
I can't do that, but I'll try. I'll see what I can do.
Well, I'll come one day when you're not working.
Awesome.
Well, guys, it was such a pleasure. I have to get ready. I'm flying out to Dallas first thing in the morning, but I just want to thank you both so much for the time and the opportunity. And please follow me on Instagram or Facebook, and I want to follow you guys back as well with all of your endeavors, dreams. And when I'm in the Northeast, I would love nothing more than to meet you guys. And please, if you can, if there is anyone that you know that needs a little cheer up or something like that, feel free to message me, any of your listeners, and happy to send them a quick little video of wishing them a happy holiday. As like I said, at this point in my life, I'm just so grateful for having this opportunity in Star Wars, but all that I've been given throughout my life. So I'm happy to pay that forward and give people a little cheer, especially around this time of year.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on our podcast. It's been a real treat.
Yeah,
and
thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Yeah, and make sure to watch that Mandalorian episode. It's really good.
Oh God, I have my 11-year-old, so I'm hoping he doesn't get too emotional or anything. But I'm gonna go for a quick swim, and then we're gonna watch it tonight. There, very much looking forward. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to be a small little part of the universe through that series there.
Yeah, we're very grateful to have you on the podcast. So just thank you so much.
Absolutely. And listen, a happy holiday to both of you and your listeners, and wishing everyone all the joy in the world this weekend. I know it's going to be very special for so many Star Wars fans throughout the world there, and can't wait to hear everyone's input next week there in terms of what they thought of it there.
Yeah, happy holidays to you too. I hope that we all enjoy the movie tomorrow. I'm pretty sure we will, but yeah.
I will. I'm sure I will at least enjoy 95% of it. I'm leaving 5% just in case, but I'm sure that 5% will be. I'm sure it'll bump up to 100, but you know.
Yeah.
Gotta be prepared for anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The delicious buttered popcorn will compensate for the negative 5% there, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much. This has been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
We'll let you get on your flight. So I was Zoe.
I was Lizzy. it's something that we do. If you can say it, you just say I was.
I was Dominic.
Thank you so much. Make sure to follow Dominic Pace on all your social medias and to follow us if you aren't already. May the force be with you, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. Thank
you. Thank you. You too. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
They're geek girls that like Star Wars and sometimes cry.
Alright. It says I think she's having issues with her Skype, so she's gonna join later if you don't mind starting now.
Absolutely, not a problem at all.
Okay.
Are we we're recording this, or are you writing an article? I just want to be clear.
Recording. It just there's Lizzy. Hi. Lizzy, can you hear? Yes, we are recording.
Hi. I just watched the recent Mandalorian episode. Like, I'm sorry.
I watched it a little bit ago. I had the same reaction. But
oh wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm gonna see it in about as soon as we get off with my son. But
all right.
Yeah, everyone was kept saying wow.
All right, so. We won't say anything.
I can't.
Lizzy, we won't say anything.
I was eating Mandalorian stew from the Star Wars cookbook, and I was like, "This is gonna be a fun day." Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So you guys ready to start then?
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right. So record. All right.
If I leave, I'm like coughing violently, so just sorry about that.
Okay. I'll just start then. So
Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars and sometimes cry.